The first sound I heard that morning wasn't the quiet lap of water or the loons calling out across the misty lake. It was a diesel engine grinding and snarling at the edge of my peace like some wild animal nobody asked for. I walked out onto my porch in slippers, coffee still steaming in my hand, and what do I see? A flatbed truck, hazard lights blinking with a bright yellow backhoe chained to it like a monster flexing its claws ready to pounce. There was a man in a neon vest and a hard hat standing there, boots crunching over my gravel as if he owned every stone clipboard in hand like a sheriff's badge. He looked me up and down and said, "Tom Weller." "That's me." I said, not liking the way he eyed my boathouse like it was a target in a shooting range. He just nodded real businesslike. "We've got orders to demolish. Unless you've got a certified check for $14,000, that boathouse comes down today." Now, I don't know if you've ever had your entire life threatened before you've even had a chance to finish your first cup of coffee, but it's enough to make your hand shake. I stared at him, stunned. "Excuse me." But he was already motioning to his crew like this was just another Tuesday. No discussion, no neighborly smile, just a death sentence written in bureaucracy and diesel fumes. And you know what ran through my mind? Not the loss, not the anger, just this absurd thought. My coffee wasn't even cold yet. Let me back up a sec. Mornings at the lake are supposed to be about peace. For 40 years, I worked as an electrician pulling wire, crawling through attics, working jobs. Nobody remembers. And the reward was this: a cabin with fading brown paint, cedar siding, a dock I built with my own hands, and a boathouse. Ellen and I hammered together the year the kids were little. Ellen, God, I can still see her hair tied back with a red bandana sawdust on her cheek, laughing every time I bent a nail. The place isn't fancy, but it's ours. Every dent in the kitchen counter, every notch on the porch railing, it's all memory. So when some clipboard warrior shows up threatening to bulldoze my life because of HOA nonsense, well, it's not just wrong, it feels criminal. It started with a notice bright orange nailed to my boathouse door like a warning shot. Lakeside Pines Homeowners Association. Final notice: unpaid dues demolition, scheduled a bill for $14,120 violations for non-compliant dock and proper siding, yard lighting. I almost laughed. My land sits outside their subdivision, always has. My grandfather bought it before half those HOA folks were born. I've got the deed, the survey, everything. So I call the number expecting to clear up some clerical error. Instead, I get Mara Kessler, HOA, president, syrupy as pie and twice as slick. "Our records show your parcel was annexed 2 months ago. The community voted." Her tone was all fake concern, but underneath you could hear she thought she already owned me. I hung up feeling uneasy, but told myself it'd blow over. But it didn't. Next morning, the backhoe shows up. A guy named Ted Foreman for the demo crew hands me a work order: pay up, or they start tearing things down. I argued, but he just shrugged. "All I know is we're told to be here at sunup. This backhoe starts easy." That's when I realized Mara hadn't flagged anything. She'd just sicked these guys on me, counting on me to fold. Rage washed over me. If she thought I was just an old man with no fight left, she was about to learn different. I called my daughter Dana. She's not just my girl, she's Special Agent Weller. I laid out everything: the notice, the demolition, the fake annexation. Dana's voice went from gentle to steel. In a heartbeat, "Dad, take photos of everything. Truck crew license plates, every piece of paper. Then get your deed, your tax bill, the survey. Email them to me. After that, go to the county clerk and get a certified plat map. That's your shield. Understand?" You know, it's funny. For a moment, I felt scared. Then, hearing her voice, I felt focused. I wasn't alone. But Mara wasn't done. The next morning, a white envelope, hand-delivered, no stamp, like a ransom note. The bill had doubled, and now the violation was the color of my paint. $10,000 fine for the same brown paint Ellen and I brushed on 30 years ago. Not long after, a dumpster big enough to block my entire drive landed with a bang at the end of my property, no way in or out. Then came the Facebook shaming, a photo of my cabin. my name in bold comments piling on from HOA loyalists. But something shifted. Neighbors who'd always kept quiet started messaging. They find me for my garden gnome, my kid's tricycle, a bird feeder. We weren't alone after all. I documented everything down to the graffiti on the dumpster, because someday this was all going to hang around Mara's neck in a courtroom. Still, it felt like war by paperwork, like they wanted to break me to make me so exhausted I'd sell the place my grandfather bought and Ellen and I built. If she thought I'd roll over, she didn't know me. But the hardest blow came when I was out picking up hardware. Came back and the boathouse was gone. Just a pile of Splinter's crew hauling off the good lumber, Mara's nephew grinning as he loaded up my cedar like it was free salvage. I found an old photo in the wreckage, Ellen and me young and grinning in sawdust. For a moment I broke. All that documenting the fight, it felt useless. Then Ellen came home. She saw the notices, the wreckage, and me slumped at the kitchen table. Calm as ever, she put her hand on my shoulder and just said, "The boathouse." I nodded, broken. But Ellen's not one for drama. She didn't rage. She turned to steel. That's when there was a knock at the door. Mara, smug as always, tried to act like she'd won. Ellen just reached into her bag, pulled out her wallet, and flashed her county judge credentials. "You think a fake vote and doctored map make you the law? They don't. I am the law here." Mara blustered, but Ellen was relentless. Laid out the charges, the trespass, the looting. "You left a trail a mile wide. This is criminal." For the first time, Mara looked scared. After that, everything changed. The neighbors showed up, Bill Sherrill, even young Kevin with his tricycle story, each carrying evidence of bogus fines, harassment stories, of families who'd been bullied into selling Mara's nephew, snapping up properties for pennies. Ellen went full judge, turning our kitchen into a war room. Photos, notices, forged documents, proof of a racket, not just HOA overreach, but fraud, extortion, a family operation bleeding us all dry. We set a trap, stacked lumber where the boathouse used to be, blueprints in the garage window, cameras hidden everywhere thanks to my son Rye and his Homeland Security training. On the third day, Mara took the bait, snapping pictures, poking around. And then black SUVs rolled up, agents stepping out with Ellen in the lead. The sheriff himself served Mara warrants. Ellen recited her rights right there on the dock while Mara's nephew tried to protest and got shut down. Handcuffs clicked. The queen bee of Lakeside Pines was marched off my property. And for the first time in weeks, I breathed easy. The trial was something else. Mara, in an orange jumpsuit, tried to spin her story, but the evidence was a mountain-altered maps, fake signatures, emails ordering the demolition funds funneled to her brother's shell company. Ellen's testimony was surgical. The jury took 4 hours. Guilty conspiracy, wire fraud, extortion. 12 years in prison. Restitution. My boathouse rebuilt with Mara's assets. The HOA dissolved, charter revoked, power gone. Neighbors hugged, laughed, cried. Bill grinned. For the first time in years, I can plant a tree without looking over my shoulder. Cheryl said, "Turns out it wasn't me. It was her." Kevin's boy pedaled his non-compliant tricycle around the new boathouse and no one fined him. We rebuilt. Neighbors, friends, even folks who'd never spoken up showed up with hammers, casseroles, paint cans. Every board was a line of defense, every nail a little bit of justice. By Sunday evening, the frame was up, burgers on the grill, laughter echoing across the water. The county made new rules, mandatory audits, real oversight. No more little dictatorships. Now every morning I stand on the dock with my coffee, new boathouse glowing in the sunrise. It's not the same as the one Ellen and I built, but that's all right. The old one held 3 decades of memories. This one holds resilience, proof you can push back when someone tries to take what's yours. 2 photos hang inside one of us, young and sawdust covered, and one with all the neighbors grinning, new paint still drying. Loss and victory side by side. Sometimes I think about what Mara never understood. You can't redraw gravity. You can't fine people into silence. You can't forge away the truth. When the mist settles low on the lake, I hear Ellen's words in my head. It wasn't me. It was the truth. And that's what brought us all back stronger than before. So tell me, where do you stand? Ever had to fight for what's yours? Was justice served? Or was this just a lucky break for one stubborn old man? Drop your story, your thoughts right down below. I'll be out on the dock, coffee in hand, waiting to hear how you'd handle a bully with a clipboard.